Republican Democrat Jeff Merkley on his plans and how he expects the political process will play out in the divided Congress. From News Channel 8, this is Straight Talk with Laurel Porter.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight on Straight Talk. I'm Laurel Porter. On Tuesday, the U.S. Senate reconvenes, and it promises to be a busy week in Washington, D.C., including President Obama's State of the Union address set for that same day. Before he heads back to D.C., Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley has been here at home, unveiling his plan to help families facing foreclosure stay in their homes. And here to talk about that and other issues facing Congress, I'm pleased to welcome my guest, Senator Jeff Merkley. Thank you for coming back to Straight Talk.
You're welcome. It's great to be with you.
Things have changed since the last time you were on the show before the election. Your party lost control in the House, maintained majority control in the Senate, but you lost 7 seats.
Yes.
You've only been back in session one day this year, but how do you expect things to be different now?
I think in some ways it is a chance for the two sides to come together, because when a single party controls both houses, the other party just likes to throw bricks. But now there's mutual responsibility for governing, and hopefully that'll change the tone and make people serious about saying, how do we create jobs? Before, we have a whole bunch of jobs proposals that couldn't get passed, in part because the other party wanted to throw bricks and didn't want the economy to recover. Now we have a mutual interest in taking America forward, so I like to look at the silver lining and say, let's seize the opportunity to work together.
There's been a lot of discussion about tone since the Arizona shootings in Tucson, where 6 people were killed, 13 injured, including, as you know, Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who's making astonishing progress. But the president at the memorial called for a tone of civility, dialing back the political rhetoric. He called for unity. Do you sense that things are going to change since then?
Well, I've had 5 town halls in the last 2 days, and I can tell you the tone was very different. The situation was more subdued, and the level, the intensity of the rhetoric was dialed back. And I do think we need to avoid some of the more vicious, biting partisanship rhetoric, some of the rhetoric that involves images of violence, because essentially we are all in this together, making America work, and we need to keep that in mind. In some sense, we are all on the same team.
I've heard discussion even about the President's State of the Union, about a change of seating order, a bipartisan seating order, where Democrat Senator Schumer says he's going to sit next to Republican Senator Coburn from Oklahoma. Are you going to be sitting next to a Republican?
Yes, I sure am. As soon as I heard about that idea, I signed up for it. In some ways, it's similar to a proposal I'd put forward to say the seat on this floor of the Senate should become bipartisan. Rather than moving the desks back and forth across the center aisle and trying to put 60 desks on one side and 40 on the other, and it all looks very strange. And realize that segregation is symbolic of division in America. And so we may perhaps do what the Oregon legislature does, in which the desks stay in place and everybody chooses their place, and the informal interaction between members of different parties contributes to the mood of working together.
So when we watch the State of the Union Tuesday, instead of having the president's party all on one side and the other party on the other, and one side stands up and applauds a lot and the other just sits there, we're going to see something different.
I hope we're going to see something very different.
When you go back, one of the first things you want to tackle is the filibuster. You said has led to a broken Senate. I know you don't want to kill the filibuster altogether, but how do you want to change it?
This is about taking the silent filibuster we have now, and the way it works is every senator can object to a simple majority vote, and it just takes one senator to object, and when they do, it takes a week's delay and then a supermajority. And this was used very rarely in the past, but in the last 2 years, we've had 135 objections or filibusters. Since each takes a week delay, and there's only 104 weeks in a 2-year period, you can quickly see why not a single appropriation bill got passed last year, only a single authorization bill got passed, or more than 100 nominations await action without our responsibility being fulfilled to advise and consent, and hundreds of House bills are lying on the floor of the Senate collecting dust. That sort of broken Senate is unacceptable. So the core idea is, if you object, you have to take your case to the American people on the floor of the Senate, like if Mr. Smith goes to Washington. Jimmy Stewart stands until he can no longer stand, pleading his position. And so to do so makes you accountable to the American public. They can decide if you're a hero or you're a bum, and it will strip away the frivolous filibusters that have been haunting the U.S. Senate.
What are the chances of getting that change through?
Well, it's going to be tough. There have been many debates over changing the filibuster. The last time it was changed was in 1975. And so most folks serving in the Senate, in fact only 2, were there the last time there was a rule change. And so folks have become accustomed to the way things are. And you find that it's what we refer to as the newbies, the folks who have been elected in the last 3 cycles, who have been in functioning institutions, are coming in and saying, you know, the Senate didn't used to be like this. It used to hold debates and votes. And it used to have amendment and a vote, an amendment and a vote. And that's the way it was when I was an intern for Senator Hatfield in 1976. And so there is a sense among those who have arrived more recently that it is our responsibility to fix this broken institution.
One of the